Welcome to Power of Attorney podcast. I am your host, LaTanya Moore. Listen, we are pleased to announce our February 1st, 2020 launch of the Intellectual Property and Transaction Program. This is for small and disadvantaged business owners. The program provides guided trademark and copyright assistance. We also provide assistance with organizing and forming your LLCs, your nonprofits, and simple transactional work. So we don't provide services that prosecute patents or conducting any type of trademark enforcement. However, this program, and we're really proud about this because this program gives us the opportunity to make basic brand protection a reality for small and disadvantaged business owners. The program is going to run from February 1st to June 30th or until all total acceptable applicants have been submitted. So, of course, there's a cap, but we want to try to get as many small business owners as possible. If that is you and you need simple trademark or copyright services or assistance with your LLCs and your nonprofits, you can submit today at ip@iprotectyourbrand.com, and we can send you the application, or you can actually just go right to iprotectyourbrand.com and apply today. So again, make sure that you share that information with all of your small business friends. We will be reviewing all applications. More information is there at the application website. Again, contact us if you have any questions, but you can go to iprotectyourbrand.com and apply. So, welcome to Power of Attorney. Today, we are going to be talking about just some definitions that you need to know to settle your IRS tax debt, of course. This is tax time, and everyone is getting their tax returns in. You are looking for opportunities, but unfortunately, some of us get that dreaded CP 2000 letter. Well, let me just say this, some of you. Seriously, that is when there is a substantial debt owed to the IRS. That means that you were notified that you owed a debt. You, for whatever reason, did not pay it, could not pay it, forgot about it. We see everything in our practice. But I wanted to just go over some things that really would just educate you, just things that you need to understand and know what they are, because working with the IRS can be pretty scary, right? And so you're trying to understand the process, you're trying to resolve the debt. It takes time, it takes effort. And I'm sure, like lots of people, you have become very, very frustrated. And so one of the biggest challenges, though, is understanding the IRS jargon, because they're not going to explain it to you. Understanding what these different terms are, what the regulatory language means, what's the best course of action for your situation. It's just very hard to know if you have no experience in dealing with the IRS at all. So I want to just go over some simple definitions, or some definitions that you need to know so that you can better understand your particular tax matter. And so that whatever tax resolution you work with, whether you work with us or whether you work with someone else, you have a good idea of what they're talking about for your unique situation. So we're just going to jump right in. The first one I want to talk about is a levy. Now, I know you guys probably see a lot of advertisements that talk about liens and levies and what they will do, but oftentimes they don't really talk about what they are. So an IRS levy, it gives legal authority for the IRS to seize your property to satisfy your tax debt. So that could be wage garnishments, that could be taking money directly from your bank or financial institution. They can seize vehicles, real estate, and other personal property. So anything that's considered personal property, unfortunately, is fair game when it comes to the levy. So all the IRS really has to do is they provide notice to your financial institution or any lien holder, right? And then they can take steps to seize the property. So like, for example, they could contact your mortgage company, right? They could file a lien in your county court against the property that is in your name. And so if the IRS serves notices to your bank, let's just talk about that. The bank account is being frozen up to the total amount that's owed for the IRS. So let's talk about that. So if you have $5,000, $10,000 in your bank account, and let's say you owe the IRS $15,000, guess what? Your entire $10,000 in that bank account is going to be frozen. What does that mean? That means if you have less than what is owed, your entire account will be frozen for 21 days. After that, then the account is locked. Now, if there's any new money that's added to that account after that, it won't be included in the freeze. But here's the thing. You still have $10,000 in my scenario, you still have $10,000 that's completely frozen. But after that 21-day hold period, then those funds that are sitting there, they are then transferred over to the IRS. The only way for you to prevent that transfer after they have frozen those funds, because remember, it's just frozen, it's not seized, it's just frozen during that 21-day time frame. But the only way to do that is to get a release from the IRS. Now, they could issue levies, they could issue subsequent levies, again, if your wages, if your balance has not been paid. And so, again, you need to know, because I've had people, even people I know, I've had clients that have been in this very situation because they just didn't understand. They didn't understand what a levy was. So when they did get the letter, they just sort of thought, well, this is just something else that the IRS is talking about. They didn't realize, like, wait a minute, because they didn't have anything else for the IRS to try and attach, all they had was their bank account. That's where the IRS took the money from. Okay, and so by the time they got us involved, we were able to get that levy lifted because they were within, remember I told you, the 21 days. If you get a levy situation, do not wait. Immediately get a qualified tax professional involved. The second thing is a garnishment. Now, oftentimes people have heard about a garnishment, but sometimes people really don't know or haven't thought about that the IRS having the power to garnish wages. And so a garnishment is typically a levy, right? It's a different type of levy, but it's a wage levy. So that means the IRS will receive a portion of your pay every pay period, right? Now, there are certain portions that may be exempt, right? And then those amounts that are exempt would be paid out to you. But the remainder would then go to the IRS. And so the exempt amount is based on like this specific calculation that takes into account, your dependents or other financial obligations. Typically, someone will have to help you with this process, because if you don't know and you don't understand this process, they're not going to tell you. Now, because your employer is obligated to comply with the IRS and provide any information requested regarding your pay, regarding your exemptions, once they have that information requested, the employer has to respond within 3 days. Because if they do not respond within the 3 days, guess what? The IRS will not even consider, or may not even consider, any dependents. If you have any other income outside of your primary income, the IRS can levy 100% of your pay and then allocate your exemptions to those other income sources. This is very important that you really pay attention and you understand what these things are. The other is an offering compromise, and that's just an agreement between the taxpayer and the IRS to settle a debt for less than the full amount. Now, taxpayers who can fully pay through an installment agreement, or if there's any other means, right, you may not qualify for the offer in compromise. You probably won't in most cases, but again, it's good to have a qualified professional that can help you through this. An installment agreement, that's exactly what it sounds like. You work out a payment arrangement. You know what your debt is. You work out a payment arrangement. You're going to pay so much for a specified amount of time, right? You can pay a one-time full payment. You can have a short-term payment plan. You can have a long-term payment plan. Again, an installment agreement is just a general payment plan. A release as it relates to IRS liens, right, means that they have said, okay, we have now lifted this lien, meaning we have released the lien, and so there is no longer a lien or levy attached. Now, the IRS should actually release a lien within like 30 days after a debt is paid. Now, sometimes that doesn't happen, right, in the actual 30 days, because the date is really based on the IRS record of payment. They could be 30 days behind, they could be 60 days behind. So you want to make sure that you mark on your calendar the date that that lien is supposed to be released and the date that the lien is released, right? Because the IRS, when the conditions are in both the best interest of the government and the taxpayer, there are some other, opportunities or options to release the lien earlier than for full payment. But again, those are kind of outside of the scope of what we're talking about today. But if you find yourself in that situation where you're paying, you need some things that you need to do. Again, get in touch with a qualified tax resolution professional that can assist you with that. One thing that has been really beneficial to a lot of taxpayers is the Fresh Start Initiative. Now, this Fresh Start Initiative was designed to allow taxpayers time to pay off substantial tax debt while protecting their assets. And so this is typically, again, a monthly payment arrangement based on your current income and the value of liquid assets. Now, there are a lot of factors that go into whether or not you qualify for that Fresh Start Initiative, but just know that it's there, know that it's available. It's something that you need to make sure that you ask. Whoever's going to assist you with this is something that you need to make sure that you ask them about. Another thing is a taxpayer's advocate, right? There is a separate entity called the taxpayer advocate, and their job is to make sure that taxpayers are treated fairly and equitably during the process, during the resolution process. So they're an independent agency within the IRS created to protect the taxpayer's Bill of Rights. Yes, it does exist. You can Google it. The Taxpayer Bill of Rights really tells you what are your rights as a taxpayer. The taxpayer advocate will assist you in resolving any type of problems and making recommendations that will prevent further problems in the future. These are just some of the top terms that you need to know to protect yourself when dealing with the IRS. You should have a better understanding of these items. I would encourage you to Google these items so that you can do a full review, get a full understanding. Hopefully, it will save you time, it will save you money, but most importantly, it'll save you anxiety when dealing with the IRS. If you have back taxes, if you are in an audit situation, if you have some of the situations that we mentioned today, you can certainly reach out to us. Go to iprotectyourbrand.com. You can schedule a consultation, a strategy session where we will go over the options. We'll look at what you have. We'll go over the options. Again, that's iprotectyourbrand.com. I want to thank you for tuning in to today's podcast. Like our Facebook page, leave us a review, Power of Attorney with Latanya Moore. Also, you can subscribe to the podcast on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Fire TV, and more. And so until next time, I am Attorney Latanya Moore. I am encouraging you to leverage your power and protect your brand.